Creative Living, utilizing today's technology with the best of the past to bring you innovative ideas and up-to-date information for creative lifestyles in today's active world. With your host, Sheryl Borden.
I'm so glad you joined me today for Creative Living. We're going to learn how to create floral arrangements with horsetail bamboo. We'll show how designers knit their couture garments and then demonstrate bronzing columns in the house. One of my guests today is floral designer Carly Cylinder. She's going to show how to use two different techniques when working with horsetail, which is a type of bamboo, and the final product looks like an advanced floral arrangement. Her company is Flower LA and Flower LA Jr., and she lives in Brooklyn, New York. Ever wonder how designers actually knit their couture designs? Dean Cheek is a designer who will show a few techniques for ribbing and making cables to give us an understanding of how small knitwear manufacturers work. He'll also show some glamorous finished garments he's made to show the versatility of his knitwear. Dean lives in Madrid, New Mexico, and his company is DC Knits. My first guest is Jamie Alcorta, and she's the owner of Walls of Art in Lubbock, Texas. Jamie will show how to use paint on columns or any other accessory to make them coordinate with other hardware and metal fixtures which are being shown in today's new home construction. Jamie, it's really nice to have you here. I understand you've worked with lots of clients on adding decorative things to their home to match existing or new hardware or bath fixtures. You mean to create something that looks metallic is what you're talking about?
Right. Oil rub bronze is a popular finish for plumbing fixtures and cabinet hardware. And this is a finish that you can paint to coordinate with those. You can even paint.
So it looks metal, it's not, but it looks like it.
Right. Yeah, fiberglass columns is what this picture is.
So this is what you were trying to match.
Right,
this
the
is
dark
the bath hardware.
Dark plumbing fixtures.
But this is what your client wanted to match.
Some drama to those columns, just plain white
there is
fiberglass
drama.
columns.
It's just beautiful.
It really contrasts with everything.
Oh, and you even did the top part too.
And you can do this on any accessory, urns. You can paint an old brass light fixture to look more like newer bronze ones.
So it works on wood, ceramic,
you just have to
tile?
prep it, and then you can paint this finish on a lot of different things.
And what was this originally? What color was it?
It was white. It's just
it
a
was.
plaster column capital.
Okay.
And the first step I did was to prime it. I sprayed on a primer, and I used a rust one, so it's kind of close to the color that we are going for. If you don't get it completely covered, it's okay for some of that to show through.
Okay. Interior, exterior, primer paint.
And
you did it's solid.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. And then the next step I did was I sprayed a little bit of black. And instead of long strokes, I did kind of a round pattern.
Oh, and why did you do that?
Just kind of give it a modeled look.
Okay.
And I didn't spray 100% of black. I left some open areas to kind of fill in with a little bit of brown. So there's kind of a mingling of two colors. On that. And if you get too much brown, you can kind of lightly go back with the black, just a real fine mist to kind of get a little bit more black.
Okay.
And then after that dries, these are water-based glazes mixed, 2 parts glaze to 1 part paint. And these are metallic paints.
And you can buy the paint that already has the glaze in it, but you can mix your own?
Right, yeah, they do sell metallic glazes. I'm using 3. I have a bronze, a copper, and a gold.
Oh.
And I'm going to stipple this on where you kind of still see you see the tips of the brush, and not completely blended. And you want to work in.
You're doing the copper.
Work in several colors at once. You don't want to do all one color. You want to mix in and kind of mingle them together. Hope you don't mind paint on your turntable.
No, that'll be fine. And you don't necessarily start with each color in the same order, just
No,
whatever
just
color you want.
yeah, just as long as you get a little bit of every color. And if you're doing a column, you'd probably start from the top and work your way down.
Oh, So you spend a lot of time on ladders, I bet, don't you?
Yes, quite a bit. And you just want to still see some of the black coming through. It gives it the depth. And
This is what you're achieving.
right, the final. This has been clear coated with a glossy spray clear coat.
After all the paint has
everything
dried.
is,
That's just to protect the surfaces.
Right, and you can do satin if you don't want it as glossy.
It's just beautiful. It's hard to believe that it's not the original metal and that it started out white. So once again, if people would want to add the metallic metal look, it can all be done with paints. Thank you very much for showing us how easy it is to do. I was expecting it to be very long and drawn out. Thank you very
Pretty
much,
simple.
Jamie.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Dean, thank you so much for coming, and it was a lot of work for you to pack everything up and come, unlike some people can just walk in with maybe a small sack or something, but I really appreciate you being here. You have quite a reputation in New Mexico as a designer and a knitwear manufacturer. And maybe just tell us a little bit of your background. I asked you earlier, you came from North Carolina to the Southwest, and how did you get interested in knitwear?
I saw someone, using one of these looms years and years ago, and it always amazed me that you could make a piece of clothing out of a strand of, thread or yarn. And I'm short, so I can't ever find sleeves that fit me. I was like, geez, I could actually have a sweater that fit me perfectly. And literally bought, a much simpler machine and taught myself how to use it, and the rest is history.
And at your business/home, you have a retail outlet in the front, and then you have your studio in another part. Do people like to come and watch you do this?
Yes,
I
they
think it's
really do
fascinating.
enjoy. And that's one reason I've always, wanted a retail store attached to my studio, because I'm always working. And, people do like to see where their stuff comes from. And I've actually had people walk in and say, well, can you make me a hat? I was like, yeah, come back in 30 minutes and I'll have their hat done.
Wow.
And they're so amazed by that.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah.
Well, and you work in lots of, I guess we could call it luxurious threads. And today you have a mohair, but there's a second one.
Yes, this is
What is
Italian
it?
mohair. And it's very fine mohair. And then this is a cotton poly mix. And this is what I really love to do, is mix my yarns, and that way each piece is a one-of-a-kind piece. No matter if I want to make 100 of these, they're all going to be a little bit different.
Well, and we'll show this. You're going to actually show us how, but you can see that black cotton thread. It's almost like the base, and the beautiful mohair is attached to it. That's very luxurious, very soft.
Yes.
Okay, let's just for fun show us how you would do this, and how long would it take to make, well, you're wearing what's called a wrap. How long would it take to make a wrap?
To make this one's cashmere, so it would be done on a thinner machine. And it takes 5 to 6 hours. And these usually take, 2 to 3 hours, depending on what fiber I'm working with.
And you mentioned different machines. These have all these little, are these needles?
Yes.
Is that what they're called? And so do you just know from practice where to set them?
Yes. And it's basically, I can do this in my sleep at this point.
I imagine.
But as you can tell, as I go back and forth, it's going to set the needles where they're supposed to be. And basically what I'm doing is creating my own fabric, just like any seamstress does. and then I can make anything I want out of this, long piece of fabric.
So does this mean this piece of fabric will only be as wide as from here
To this side.
to that
yes, that's
side?
as wide as I can knit.
So if you wanted something bigger, it would require another machine, a bigger
Yeah,
machine.
yeah. And some of the simpler machines you can actually join together. None of the production machines you can, but I mean, I've actually made queen-size blankets. And talking about going from one side of the room to the other.
You'd have to stand up and run,
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
yeah, literally.
That's amazing. Okay, let's show what's going on back behind here. What are
And
those?
these are weights, and it's just basically to hold the knitwear down.
You just hook this in.
Yeah, and they can either go, they have a rod that we put across here. And I always just like putting them in the yarn itself, and that way I know where. And then the bigger
different
ones, which
sizes.
is basically 3
that's pretty
times of
heavy.
this one. Yeah, yeah. And I don't even know where these ended up coming from, but I have not been able to find, to buy the bigger ones again.
So after you do, what, maybe 4 or 5 rows, you put those on to keep the fabric hanging
Yes,
down. And
yes.
it doesn't stretch it out of shape?
It does, but once you steam it,
Oh,
everything
goes
comes
back.
together. Yeah. Steaming is a blessing.
well, yeah. It's kind of like in sewing. It sort of gives
Exactly.
it that finishing touch,
Well, exactly.
really.
And with a lot of yarns, like especially chenille, you knit it and it feels like cardboard. And steam it and it comes out as soft as, the velvet. So.
Well, and like I mentioned, you have on what's called a wrap. So obviously you make things for both men and women.
Yes, yes. This is called
One
a
size
chameleon
fits
wrap.
all?
One size fits all. I do them in many different fibers, so they're all different sizes.
And people are surprised when they come to your retail store and they say, well, I'm a larger built
Yes.
person. I couldn't wear
They'll
that.
never fit me.
They'll never fit me.
Yeah. And I'm
Well, we
like,
have such a wrap on this mannequin back here, and that's the same style as what you have on.
yes.
But it's
yes.
turned to the side.
Yeah, and this is just another way of wearing this. And of course, there are, at this point, I can probably come up with about 150 ways of wearing it.
Wow. Kind
So
of like the
it's-
scarf.
Yeah, definitely, an accessory that most people love to have because they can change it around and different looks. You can dress it up over a dress. You can dress it down over jeans.
And the dress too, you made that.
Yes, yes. And one thing about knitwear designers, most knitwear designers do 1 or 2 or 3 different designs. And I do everything. I mean, I've done
Let's
leggings.
look at some of
yes.
these everythings. They are beautiful.
And this one is a unisex serape.
Oh,
And this
and
is a
you've
short
used the 2
version.
colors. I mean, red
Yes.
and black. My 2 favorite colors,
Yeah.
by the way.
Most women's favorite colors.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well,
It's amazing. It's
Here
the
it
best
is.
seller.
Now
there
we've
is.
got it.
There we go. And
Okay.
this just goes over, and both men and women.
Okay.
This is bamboo.
bamboo. And it's so
and-
soft.
Yeah. And
Is
this
bamboo stiff when you're making it?
No.
No,
No,
so
it
the steam
feels
doesn't.
exactly that way. Yeah.
I see.
This is a skirt made out of bamboo and rayon. And this is another technique I love
It's
using.
heavier.
Yeah, yeah, it's very heavy because it's knit very tightly so you can't see through
Oh,
it.
of course. And then elastic.
Yes. Well, no,
Or
it's just a
drawstring.
drawstring. And these fit a lot of different sizes
Sure.
too.
That's a good technique. I've
And-
used it.
Yeah. And then I do,
Tank tops.
tank tops, cowl necks. And when I do a show, that way I can dress the model from head to toe. Only thing she needs to bring are her
Shoes.
shoes.
Or,
Which is amazing how many shoes
Oh,
women
now
have.
these are really
Yeah,
popular.
yeah.
They're so
and
nice.
this is just another one. I had called it the Lana Turner wrap for years and years, but now I've just considered it a snood.
snood.
Yeah.
Okay. And,
And they
this can be
doubled.
real wide or
yeah,
that's
you can double it, and I love wearing it under my hat because I can block the wind. And when we were in Chicago,
good
it came in
idea.
it perfect. And this is a cashmere dress or
Mini.
sweater for some. Yeah. And the quality of cashmere, this is Italian
that's
cashmere.
everybody.
And you can't beat
And
it.
that's what this thread
Yes.
is. It's Italian cashmere.
This is Italian mohair.
Oh, excuse
yeah,
me, mohair.
mohair.
You're right.
But the quality is still there. And this is another Italian cashmere, and this is a poncho. And it's just basically
Oh,
a symmetrical, version of the chameleon wrap. And this one's another unisex that I wear constantly. You know, but you never know with the weather.
Well, that's true.
You always got to have something.
Ooh, this is
And
gorgeous.
this is, yeah, and this is a full-length skirt. And
this is very tightly
yeah,
woven. This
yeah,
is
and this is another plated one.
beautiful.
And this is a rayon with a polyester backing. And, you know, people are so amazed because this one, not necessarily, you can't see the difference, but when I do the plating, I always like to use two completely different yarns, and that way they pop through, like on the teal one.
Oh,
But these are very popular in the Southwest, of course.
Oh, and hats, of
Yep.
course.
And then this one is actually the one I've got.
Oh, gosh, that is
on
so
the loom.
soft. It
Yeah.
is.
And, you know, people, a big complaint of mohair is that it itches. This mohair is the highest quality. It does not
It's
itch.
not going to.
Yeah.
And how long would it take? This is very simple
That
design.
one is
so
about,
how long?
yeah, about
30
15,
minutes?
30 minutes
30,
from start to finish. And this is a cashmere doubled version of that.
A little more weight, a
Yeah.
little more body to
Yeah.
it. Beautiful colors, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah, red and white New Mexico.
Yeah.
And this is a cocoon. This is another unisex piece.
Uh-huh.
And it fits from the smallest of, you know, people
I
all
like
the way
that
to
style.
the largest. Yeah. And it's, you know, the perfect length because, you know, this one's alpaca. And it's actually New Mexico alpaca too.
Oh,
So it's,
What are
when I-
some, you've mentioned mohair and oops, the alpaca. What are some of the other threads that you like to use?
I, you know, of course, use the cotton, which is cotton flake back here. And I really do like mixing my own yarns.
Oh.
So I'll mix like the rayon with, you know, another soft yarn to where it pops through a little. And of course, the linen mixes are always fun. You just have to be careful to, you know, put something with it to give it a little bit of stretch.
Stability, or, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
because I made my mom a linen sweater one time, and the sleeves ended up being about down to here.
It grew.
Yes,
Okay.
constantly.
Well, I certainly hope this isn't like tatting, something that's gone by the wayside, because the work that you do and other designers and knitters is truly beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Dean.
Oh, thank you.
Carly, thank you so much for coming. When florists come, I usually just expect them to make that one round arrangement that I have finally learned to do. But when people come in carrying odd-looking things, I'm like, what are we going to do with these?
So this is horsetail, which is a form of bamboo, and it grows kind of wild in some regions. This is sort of
light.
common. Yeah, it's very light. It's hollow inside.
Oh, like bamboo.
And this, usually when we see a vase lined, it's with a tea leaf, so we just see a plain leaf. But it's kind of fun to change it up, and using horsetail is a good way to do that.
Do you put the horsehair inside the vase? Or?
There's two ways to do it. The first time I ever made this, which was for a Valentine's arrangement, I tried to attach it with double-sided tape, and then when I delivered it, it all fell off. So that's when I changed to doing it inside. But you can secure outside with a rubber band, which would have made more sense than my original method.
You have to practice these things.
Yeah,
to
you
learn
have to
what
learn the
works
hard
best.
way. Yep. So what I do is, I'm just gonna take one stick. I took a piece of floral foam that's soaked and then just cut it so that there was enough of a width around to fit the horsetail.
Oh, that's why it's a little smaller than
It's
the
a little
vase,
bit
I
small.
see.
The tricky part about this is that if the horsetail scratches the foam, it's gonna create kind of those like crumbly pieces. So
So
if
you don't want to do that.
You don't want to do
if you
that, so you have to
can.
be a little bit more careful when you're doing it. So I'm just gonna stick it in.
Start in
then
one corner?
Start in one corner, and then cut it right here, and continue along. So you can get,
I love
you
this
know,
pattern
3
that's
or
in
4
it. That's what
pieces.
really makes it unique, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's really nice because if you want kind of an Asian-inspired design or something a little bit more exotic, and you wanted to use this with orchids, I like to use this in masculine arrangements too, just because it's a nice little touch. And this one's getting a little bit thin, so I can put it in.
I'll try to not hit you.
continue along.
The pattern, this, whatever that pattern is that makes the horsetail, really looks pretty on there.
Yep. So this does take a while. I mean, for Valentine's Day, I'd have to prep
It's
these
special.
all, you know, a day or two before.
Okay, so we'd go all the way around
We would
the
go
base
all
like
the way
that.
around.
That is pretty. You can begin to see what it's going to look like.
And then if you were going to do it on the outside, it's nicer on the inside because it gives it a sleeker look. But if you were doing something more country inspired or something like that, you would just take a rubber band, 1 or 2, place it around, and then
And
secure
put
this
those
away.
behind
Yeah,
it.
see, this made so much more sense.
Well, it did, yeah. And then what would you do? Put a ribbon around
You
it?
could put a
or
ribbon around
something?
it. If I was doing this, I'd probably use a black ribbon or raffia, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
You could use like a leather strip or suede or make it really fun.
Yeah.
I just
It
use
wouldn't be
whatever's around
masculine. Yeah.
the house. Whatever I have there, so something like that. You could see how it would
Okay.
look.
Yeah, good idea. I wouldn't have thought about putting it on the outside.
So either one will work. There we go. And then you'll just add in the flowers. Since I am making a more masculine arrangement, I have these dark
The
red
darker roses.
roses.
Are these sprayed or are they, is this how they grow?
It grows like this,
Wow,
which is really
it's
neat.
beautiful.
Yep. And we can open it up a little bit. And we are going to, I'm going to cut them all kind of the same length. Keep this low.
Some of them are a deeper color than others.
I know, I just noticed that. How'd this guy sneak in there? It's kind of pretty.
Yeah, see, this
Yeah.
one's dark. But they kind of
It's
blend.
in nature, so
Yeah,
there you go.
That's true.
And then I'm gonna just start one in the center. And if I'm making an arrangement where it's very symmetrical, I don't do this all the time, I'll put one in the center
And
and
then
then
work
one on
around.
each corner. So something like
Oh,
that.
and do the, okay, do the four
I kind of
corners.
create an outline first, and then I work my way in. So. So you can see we're creating the outline, and then I'll just stick the other ones in between.
In between.
And continue on. If you can kind of see the foam, which the horsetail will conceal,
Yeah.
you just need to lower it a little bit into
Oh.
the foam.
Okay.
And then add in some accent greens. If you don't have any, you can just take it from a shrub, something like that. Stick that in. The other thing you could do is I like
That's
to
pretty.
create.
It's a different green. I like that.
I like to create collars kind of around. So you could even do leaves around the entire thing.
That'd be
to
pretty.
give it, Yeah, a cleaner look. There we go. Horsetail.
I didn't even know
lined
what this was
arrangement.
called. I've seen it, and
Do you
but I
see it
also
growing?
didn't know what
Does
it was.
it grow around here?
I've never
naturally?
seen it.
I think in California we get a lot of that. So
This is a pretty fast arrangement to make too.
it is. I mean, this part would take the longest. It would probably
yeah.
take 10 or 15 minutes. And you can prep this ahead of time. So you could do this part the day before and then buy the flowers and arrange it.
Oh.
It'd be fun for a dinner party or just
Well, and
coffee
it's
table.
low enough too. Yeah, it would be nice to use on a buffet table or the dining table because you can see over it and talk.
Exactly.
I like the way you separate each of those. I would tend to clump a big one right
Oh,
in
just
there,
right
so-
in there. It's so funny when you start to do flowers a lot. You just kind of like I don't really think about things. You know? Just kind of work and do it and see what happens. So, yeah, it's coming together. And that
It is.
how
It's
you would
really
make
pretty. The green, the other shade
horsetail
of green.
arrangement, taking the rubber band off.
Okay, that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much. I've learned a lot on this.
Yay! I'm so
Appreciate
glad-
it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed the show today. Next time on Creative Living, we'll learn how to do embossed resisting in card making. We'll demonstrate how to make beautiful ruffle cakes and also talk about things they didn't teach in business school. One of my next guests is going to show how to make a card using a technique referred to as embossed resist. She'll tell what supplies are needed, show how to heat the embossing powder, and then show how to add additional color if you want to. The results are really unique. If you really want to impress your family and friends, watch carefully as one of the next guests demonstrates making a regal rainbow ruffle cake. It almost looks too good to eat, but not quite. And finally, we'll visit with a man who has successfully built 3 businesses from the ground up. He will share his success tips with us by telling 5 things they don't teach you in business school. I hope you'll plan to join me next time for Creative Living.
We are very pleased to offer a special booklet that accompanies this series of Creative Living. We are celebrating our 40th year on PBS. This booklet is titled the 40th Anniversary Series, and it features a wonderful collection of ideas and information, and it's available free of charge on our website. Posted as a PDF file, you can simply download the entire booklet or just the segments you're most interested in. For your copy of this commemorative booklet, go to our website at kenw.org and then click on Creative Living. Scroll down to the booklet section and you can click on this booklet or on any of the other booklets we have available online. We would like to invite you to sign up for our free e-newsletter too. Go to kenw.org and click on the Sign Up Now button and input your email address. That's all there is to it. We would also like to ask you to become a fan of Creative Living on Facebook. Go to facebook.com and in the search window type in Creative Living with Sheryl Borden. Thanks so much. We look forward to hearing from you.